Good evening. We are dealing with more questions than answers over the last 3 days. There is a new Circus Act in town, the 14-day quarantine. It's been floating around for a few weeks, but it's really gathered pace in the last week, which is surprising because the EU Commission produced a 500-page document about reopening international travel on Wednesday of last week. And then, merrily, the member states started imposing new conditions which would prevent that happening. Most relevant is the position of the Irish government, a 14-day quarantine to be strictly enforced. The 14-day quarantine, as it's imposed in most European countries, applies to non-EU citizens. In our case, it actually applies to everybody from outside Ireland. The estimation in Spain is that their quarantine period will come to an end around June the 7th. That is when lockdown is supposed to end, and when restrictions for moving within Spain are removed, international tourism can return, including the much heralded prospect of Lanzarote and Fuerteventura opening up. And that raises a new question. What about those passengers who have chosen to fly for whatever reason and then have to face a quarantine when they return to the country? Where does that leave them in terms of insurance and their flight cancellation rights? The existing conundrum of flights flying to the United States and passengers being told because the flight is going ahead, they're not entitled to a refund. That has been raised by the ITAA, Michael Durley and Pat Dawson, with Simon Coveney.
Must be. That's one of the situations. I gave a prime example to Simon. I had a family of four going to the States, flying with EI, but couldn't travel because Homeland Security would have turned them back at Shannon Airport. So, and Aer Lingus are saying, no, we're not giving a refund because it's not our problem. We didn't cause the problem. So they weren't giving a refund. Now, probably since that happened, the voucher scheme has come in. So the vouchers will help enormously. It was a great bit of activity by the ITAA board, by John and Pat and the committee to get that together. We have already seen it in our own office. The credit voucher has a good sound to it, and people are saying, yeah, my money is protected, I'll take the voucher.
Most of the action across the industry has been an attempt to restore consumer confidence. Masks on board introduced by Aer Lingus and due to be introduced by Ryanair. The temperature testing at airports, we're not sure who's going to pay for that or how it will be managed, but it is being mentioned. And the airlines highlighting their sanitisation and air filter systems. The inbound tourism industry is facing an existential crisis of its own. Hence, Minister Shane Ross announced a tourism recovery task force during the week to be chaired by Ruth Andrews, and to which I, Owen Corrie, have also been nominated as a member.
To start planning for our future growth and return to normality and growth, but of course there's survival requirements as well in the more immediate future.
Some of the issues will be familiar to the outbound industry. Questions about air access, questions about price, and questions about the breach of confidence caused by the refunds issue to customers who are coming to Ireland from around the world, much the same as those faced by outbound customers booking from Ireland.
Obviously, there's an anxiousness amongst the ITOA members to start putting product together and understanding what that price will be.
Amid the uncertainty, we have been asking travel agents around the country how they coped with the crisis, how the dealings with suppliers have evolved, and what needs to happen next.
Straight away, as I've advised a lot of friends to do this, the first thing you do is contact your bank. You give them an open book and explain the situation, put your business plan, and you move forward with certainty that you know that you have a facility in place to cope with no income. And it looks like it's going to be no income between now and the end of the year.
You do tend to consider your position, consider your business, consider your staff, consider how you deliver your service to your customers, and what is it going to be like when we go forward. All these things that we might have been hesitant about doing up to this.
But people seem to be accepting of if they pay directly to the airlines, because they can't talk to them and they don't seem to have the appetite to fight to get their 150 back, but they have an appetite to fight to get it back from us.
it's very hard. It's demotivating because it's also negative. It's tough on the clients because you're cancelling holidays that you put in place for them. And it's also really challenging because we're not always working in the most informed environment.
What's happening on the ground? I'll give you an example. Take campsites in France. The campsite won't be opening until such a date. And one operator would say the campsite will be opening, and another operator on the same site would say it will or it won't be open. So there's a lot of conflict.
You know, we weren't going back to our customers and giving them negative responses in what was a negative situation to begin with. So, you know, once they started to relaxing all the rules, it made it completely easier for all of us to deal with the customers and help the customers to rebook for a future holiday.
I was so frustrated with airlines, and I wrote to them all, and but as it went on, I just thought the refunds would come in straight away, and then I suppose there's logistics behind it all, and it just didn't happen.
What we've noticed now, and I only had a conversation this week about it, is the amount of refunds we're actually getting from the airlines is very, very, very small. To my surprise, a number of others have been very generous in sending back the money they had. Ironically, some of the major hotel chains are saying they haven't got the money to send back, so that's an interesting warning of things to come.
In fairness to the bed bank game, I have to say it has been very, very good. We're now up as nearly the end of May, with all refunds due back into us has come back in. Deposits we had in resorts have been, processed and are coming back into us.
It will be a great business when we all come back in, and to give that message that there is a business model there. The stronger, better run companies will thrive, can deliver that exemplary service, and those individuals will flourish as well.
There are other questions which remain unanswered. What exactly are the terms and conditions of the 6-month credit voucher? It certainly is going to buy time for travel agents, but will it be enough time for them to get back money from suppliers? Some of the airlines which were not paying refunds have started doing so, but some of those who were seem to have slowed down the refund process. Michael O'Leary raised the question of not paying intermediaries at all during the conference call after his results announcement this week. And the cruise lines, 120-day refund policies, and most of the cruise companies saying they will pay refunds, some of them already doing so.
I mean, for years, as you will know, the biggest fear of a cruise line is norovirus. They do deep cleans. They have years and years of experience and perhaps the cruise business doesn't do enough to blow their own trumpet in this regard. But their infectious control measures are probably way ahead of most industries.
But again, the volume of refunds they're facing is massive. What they have been doing is offering some of the best vouchers in the business. In the case of one cruise company, a 2-for-1 offer, and in others, voucher bonuses of 30%. My name is Owen Corrie. This travel wrap is sponsored and commissioned by the Irish Travel Agents Association. The views here are my own. Please stay in touch. Be sure to raise any issues that concern you and stay safe. Fon Slán, Guji, J Mart, Shakuan.
Here you go. I've got my passport, will travel. Okay. I think people have realized that they can now book for summer 2021 for their summer holidays to Europe, to certain destinations in Europe. This hasn't been used in a while and it's getting lonely. I think I might ask the government for a refund on my passport for this year.
I've never worked so hard as I have in the last 7 to 8 weeks, and it looks like Owen and I are going to have to up the ante on that as well for another few months.